Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Join Reiki Master and Quantum Healing expert Wes Coons as he guides listeners through the depths of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment to uncover the version of you we haven't met yet. Hello and welcome back to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. If you've been following along with us, we just finished up episode 9 and embarking on episode 10. Double digits, Wes.
I know it, and we're coming to the end of the season, aren't we?
Yeah, we got a special episode coming up for the season finale, but before we get started, why don't you tell everyone what's going on?
Well, before we do that, did you hit the record button this time?
Yes, Wes.
Okay, just making sure. Well, we have special guests here today. Linda and Kathleen are here. And, we've talked about them a lot, and they came in earlier, and I got to listen to... What did we get to listen to?
Oh, yeah. We got to listen to some really special recordings. I'm smiling as I say this, but I'm sure you were not smiling when they were being recorded. And you have a clip you're going to share today, right?
Yeah, I think I can. And one of the clips is where we were at the house and the darkness in the house was claiming the home after we had just claimed it to... Who did we claim it to? Do you remember? Was that Archangel Michael or did we claim that to Jesus? I don't know.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
I want to introduce Linda and Kathleen. And where do you guys live?
Oh, me first. All right. Well, I'm Kathleen. Linda, say hi. Hi. We live over on the Eastern Shore. I actually grew up here in Virginia Beach.
Nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, I did. I grew up right over in Kings Grant.
Yeah, that's cool. Right around the corner.
Yep, right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Moved over to the shore 2001, and met up with Linda, I don't know. Seems like it's been forever ago, but it's really only been
like 6 years.
Maybe 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah.
It's been I met y'all 5 years ago, and it was 5 years ago, really, right now, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the recordings we're going to play for you guys later was done 5 years and 2 weeks ago?
On the 25th of May.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think last episode, what did we talk about? We talked about the going down to the dock and helping all those slaves go home. Remember that?
Yes.
That's just before everything got really crazy and it could leave the property and followed me then.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So when we were on that dock, could you feel the heat? Because I felt like the dock was on fire and my legs were burning.
Not as bad as you could.
I don't know why I felt it so bad, but I swear I opened my one eye and I peeked. I thought there was a giant flame, and the flame and the little fire she started was out.
I never felt heat. I was waiting to get pushed into the water.
You didn't feel heat?
I did not feel heat.
Really?
But I was terrified that we were going to get, all of us.
Yeah, that water was
thrown
creepy
in.
there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting to be shoved off the dock.
I can't believe you didn't feel heat. I mean, I literally felt like there's a blowtorch at my feet the entire time.
Mm-mm. I didn't feel heat, but
it was really intense.
yes, that
Really
was very,
intense.
very intense.
Yeah.
You walk down there, and it didn't feel like any part of your yard.
Mm-hmm.
It literally felt like you were walking into someplace 100% different.
Well, they wouldn't let you on the dock, right? Isn't that what you said?
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't. Initially, you three were able to get down there, and as I was coming down to the walkway, when I went to step out of the grass area of your backyard onto the walkway to the dock, I could not go. Every time I went to take that step, I was getting pulled backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Linda and you and even Sandra Grace telling me, "Come on, I can't." What do you mean you can't? I physically cannot make it past this point.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do it. And I think it was you, Linda, had to come up and clear it so that I could get down onto the dock, which I cursed you for later, by the way, because that's where I got that thing attached to me.
Oh yeah, you got an attachment at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, it was when we were helping to cross over. Oh my gosh, it was right at the tail end of us crossing him over, and the little boy was coming. I will never forget that little boy. And he was running, and I remember all he had on was shorts and his teddy bear. And I remember him looking up at me and asking me if the teddy bear could go with him.
I remember that.
But when he was running up, there was, the best way I can describe it, that most people won't understand it, is something like a gargoyle looking thing that was right behind him. And when he got into our circle, I knew I had to block it.
Yeah. So I didn't see that. I didn't know that was following him.
Yeah.
Yeah, your back would have been to him.
Mm-hmm. And I could feel it. I mean, I could feel claws.
Yeah.
Just digging into my back, and it was painful. It was very painful. But I just stood there. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. We got to get this little boy across. Once he's gone, then I'll get somebody to rip this thing off of me.
Yeah. Now, were you guys able to see Scott come in?
I did not.
In my mind, I seen Scott come. And, he came down and threw that rag in my face because that's Scott, and grabbed them and pulled them through my chest. So, but you guys didn't see that.
No, I did not.
That's a trip, how we all were there. You didn't feel heat. I felt heat. You got something attached to you. Did y'all seen the guy in the boat, right?
Oh, yes.
Did you see him? Mm-hmm. And that fucker just disappeared.
Yeah.
How I remember it.
I remember looking back and, where'd he go?
Yeah, because I remember it. He went past us, and like 4 or 5 seconds later, I turned around and I looked at Sandra Grace, and she just had this smile on her face and just said, that spirits are gonna block us or try to keep us from focusing or something. I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
Then after we did that, I think the thing that shocked me next was when we had to call that psychic back. Wasn't he a psychic at that? Is that what he was? Remember, she called the guy on the phone, and he decided he told me at that point that I was going to be the caretaker. Remember, he was talking about me being the fucking caretaker. I'm like, I'm not going to be the guy. I'm not going to be the caretaker.
I remember that.
Yeah, ain't no fucking way I'm going to be the caretaker of this fucking place. No way. That was like a big deal that wasn't told to me. And every time it seemed like we did something, like at the mountain, or there was a rebirthing ceremony or something like that, there's this big piece of it that everybody kind of neglects to tell me. And like when we did the rebirthing ceremony, nobody told me I had to wait 21 days for it to be fixed. I'm thinking it would be fixed. We only talked about it for 3 months, and nobody said shit. So there was that. That was painful.
More will be revealed.
More will be revealed. So at one point, Linda, I don't know if Kathleen was there, but we walked upstairs with Sandra Grace, and something shoved us against the wall. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah. I think all Sandra heard was 2 clunks, and that was us get literally our backs against the wall like this, so we couldn't move. I'm like, there's that,
Yeah, that one was pretty strange. Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. And how did you know that there was a little boy in the attic? Who's seen the little boy in the attic? Remember we cleared the little boy to the attic?
I do. I do. How do I explain this in a way that you all will understand? I saw him, but not with my eyes.
So was it more of a knowing, or did you see it in your mind?
It was, I felt the presence, and when I looked at that part of the attic, in my mind, I could see him sitting there.
Mm-hmm. So what did he look like?
Brown hair, maybe 5 years old. I'm not the greatest at ages.
Yeah.
This big.
So you,
But he was cowered down. He had his little knees folded up, hugged up, brown shirt, just terrified.
yeah. So did he look like in your mind when you seen it? Was he like translucent, or was it solid like
No.
you're seeing us right now?
No, he was solid.
Wow.
He was very much solid. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the reasons I had Linda come over, because I needed somebody else to verify what I was seeing, mm-hmm. or at least what I thought I was seeing at the time. And she could feel him as well. And I think that's one of those things that's hard for people that don't have that kind of gift to understand, is you don't see all of this just with your regular eyes. There are times that you see it,
Mm-hmm.
I guess you'd say you see it within your head.
Yeah.
You see it,
Or with your third eye.
thank you.
Yeah. A lot of the things that I say I see is more of a knowing, and then at some point there's like a flashcard that pops up and it'll show me what it looks like. Or I'll use my breath, so I'll exhale, and when I do, with my eyes closed in my mind, it's like a snow machine blowing out snow and the invisible man walking through the snow machine, then I can see it. So when I blow that white light, that energy on there, it lets me see things. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. But, I think one of the things I have noticed and surprised me is how unique everybody's gifts are.
They are.
It's like your fingerprint, right? It's that unique.
Yep. Kathleen has a lot more gifts than I do. Mm-hmm. Hers are a lot stronger. But that's only because I don't let mine grow much more.
I understand.
But we complement each other so well on what we do.
Mm-hmm. Y'all are a good team.
Well, thank you.
And if I haven't said it enough, thank you for saving me.
Oh, we love you.
We do.
It was a hard time.
It was. That was extraordinarily hard.
Yeah, it was. And I remember that one time you guys, you all came over so often, and you didn't ask for anything from me.
We didn't need anything from you. We were there to help you.
I know, but I was a total fucking stranger,
No, you weren't. My soul knew you.
It did that. It did that.
And even if it didn't, it's why we were given the gift to help people.
Yeah.
God gave us these gifts for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I look at it.
And
Yeah, I believe that.
I thank God for letting you be one of them.
Thank you. Thank you. You used to say all the time that I was special and I had gifts.
Yep. I knew it the day I met you.
I just thought that's what you tell the fucked up guy who's in a bad situation. You're gifted. Hang on, pal. And I'm like, these motherfuckers, and I did, and that just surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things that surprised, many things that surprised me. Remember when we had Kennedy in the garage and something was attached to her? Mm-hmm. And you did whatever you did to clear it, and I remember as you were doing that, Kennedy's my German Shepherd, and she's kind of looking back and she's watching something leave her back as it goes across the room and out the door.
Yep.
Remember that was crazy. That was crazy for me to see that, and it was just so many strange experiences. I don't know what all you guys seen in the house, but I remember just standing in the living room with Sandra Grace after we do all kinds of work, and she'd have this look on her face, and she's almost chewing her fingernails, and she's like, talking to herself or whoever the hell she's talking to, and I'm like, Sandra Grace, and she wouldn't. Sandra Grace, and finally she said, yes, honey. I said, it's not fixed. She's like, no, it's not fixed. Because you can see these teeth chattering in the corners, and you can see these faces peeking around the corner. And that damn... Did you ever see the video when the pool table would have the black smoke pouring off of it onto the floor at night? Did I ever show you that?
I know you sent me several, and most of them around that table, the whole top of the table's just so dark, and the corners of the room are dark, but yet you look in the other room on that same video, and it's light. You could see objects and shapes, but in that room you couldn't.
So what was some of the equipment? You guys brought equipment at one time, or maybe more than once, but I remember one time, and it was on the table, and if it walked up, it would light up. What is that?
We have K2 meters, EMF detectors. Now we have a REM pod.
Yep. Then there's the night vision camera, the thermal imaging camera.
Sound like a fucking SEAL team. Yeah.
Gosh.
But that was probably the EMF or the K2. Yeah.
So that basically lets you communicate with them, and then as they walk up, it detects something there somehow and lights up, so you know it's there.
Right.
Yeah. So I remember when you did that, and I was like 2 feet from it, and I just remember thinking to myself, there's freaking something like basically standing inside me at this point. You know, or at least right in front of me. And that was a little unnerving. So then we had that time, Kathleen, you're like, oh, you're going under the house. Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm like, really? And I'm not going to let you go by yourself. So I'm sitting there and...
Looking at me like I'm nuts.
Yeah, I mean, you were having
Let's
like
be
a
honest.
full conversation with something. Do you remember what the conversation was at all?
You know, the one thing I remember from that conversation was block the water.
That's what it was. Block the water.
Block the water. That's what I kept getting. Block the water. Block the water. And I remember, I don't even remember if I said it out loud. Because I was to the point, I was so frustrated that I remember saying, what do you mean block the water? How do we block the water? Are you talking groundwater? Are you talking water from the pool? Are you talking water from the creek? I was getting so frustrated because that's all it would get. Block the water.
Yeah. Well, and we had, you know, off the back of the house had that sunroom, and there was some kind of energy line that went from the sunroom to the dock. Remember that?
Yep.
So I think for a while we thought that's what we needed to block.
Yeah.
And when Lakota came and fixed the house, which we'll talk about later, but she said that energy line there was Native Americans that were going in the spirit realm back and forth right there to get water and bringing it towards the house. That's what the energy line was.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So when that segment happened is me, her, and Ty, this is because we cleared the house, or we cleared that dock and all that like July 1st or something, because it's July 4th weekend that weekend. And then Lakota came and cleared the house like October 5th. So there was a good period of time there. And I just remember every time walking through that yard, you could just feel that. And when she came and did that part of her ceremony, a little sneak peek of what happened is she gave them, told them to carry magnolias, so we would know they were good, that they were good spirits. And the entire backyard smelled like magnolias, and it's October, and I didn't have magnolias. It was crazy.
Wow. You didn't have magnolias.
No.
I never knew that part of it.
Yep.
And it makes sense now. It makes sense why whatever I was communicating with kept saying, block the water.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
So I don't know if, you know, I don't feel that was the power of the darkness of the house,
No.
though. So somebody we're going to have on the show in probably next couple weeks, is Karen. Do y'all know Karen?
No.
She's from up north. She cleared me a ton, but she had found something. She was talking to somebody one day, and the lady told her about clearing some kind of line in the ground. I want to say a horror line, but it's not a horror line.
A ley line?
Maybe. And when she looked at the property, however she did that, and she fixed that, I know that shifted something in the house. That did make a shift, but it didn't fix it. So it's just interesting on how many layers of craziness it is.
Yeah, you did have several ley lines that passed through that property. I remember looking it up on USGS website.
So what's a ley line?
A ley line is actually, it's a geographic line of magnetism in the earth.
Okay.
And when you think about spirits and energy that they need, then where ley lines converge, one of the theories is that's where energy builds, where you have more energy for spiritual beings to draw off of.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I went to the USGS website to look to see if there were convergences on your property, to see if maybe that was a magnetic trigger, an area of convergence. There wasn't an actual convergence on the map, but you did have several ley lines running through that property.
Yeah.
See, we have ley lines where I work. We actually have crystals hung up that I have to clean every once in a while.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that. Well, I know the priests kept commenting on the swimming pool. I think the psychic guy on the phone spoke about the swimming pool. I think Sandra Grace was focused on the swimming pool. And, you know, the interesting thing is when the guy built the house, they had a bunch of paranormal stuff. Then the people that I bought the house from lived there 12 years, and I feel like they didn't for some reason. It like went dormant. And I don't know, why do you think that would be? The wife that was there, not to disrespect her, but I believe there was some psychological issues with her. So I wonder if the house had messed with her at some level. But I don't believe they had the paranormal activity that we did. But we also moved the swimming pool when we bought the house. And several people felt that when we moved the swimming pool, that disturbed a graveyard. So I don't know.
That is such a multi-tiered question.
The answer is 3.
Yeah. 26? Let's pull a random number. From my perspective, at least, Linda, if you would like to chime in here, I think a lot of it has to do with the person that's there and how open they are spiritually
Okay.
to that kind of phenomenon.
And with you having the gifts that you had, they would be attracted to you?
Sure. Well, the funny thing is when I moved in there, I mean, nothing was turned on for me. I don't know at what point it turned on, but at one point everything was turned on. Like 100%. And then some. But
Go ahead, spit
ahead.
it out.
I firmly believe it was the trauma and what happened with your nephew
yeah.
that broke, how do I say this, broke the barriers, broke the walls, and turned it on.
I can see that. Well, I've seen interviews where people got in a really bad car accident or something seriously traumatic happened, and afterwards, you know, those gifts turned on for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was definitely interesting. And I think one of the funniest parts, if there was any funny parts, is after we did the dock and I argued with the psychic about not being the curator. And that guy's like, well, you need to go plant a white tree. And my neighbor had given me a white tree like 2 days before. I mean, what, that's God lining things up. And hell, I think I planted that tree, watered that thing, showered, was in the car in like 12 fucking minutes, man. I was out of there. Y'all were hanging out by the pool, and I'm like, I'm going drinking. At some level, I thought everything was good, but when I pulled out of that neighborhood, I remember thinking to myself, I think we made a mistake. And we did. So that house got significantly more powerful. So I don't think y'all came back to the house after that, did you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a blur.
I have honestly lost count of how many times we came. It was so frustrating. We wanted so badly for each time to be the last time, or this has got to do it. This has got to be it this time. And I can remember being in tears leaving your house.
Yeah.
Knowing full well, I would look at Linda and I'm like, it's not enough.
Yeah. Well, that was always a dark time for me when you guys would pull away.
That was hard for us.
It
was hard for us because we wanted desperately to fix it for you.
Yeah.
We wanted to help remove some of that angst, some of the pain, so you could start healing in other ways. And it seemed like no matter what we did, it was just a Band-Aid. It was a Band-Aid over the problem, and when it ripped off, it bled more and more and more. And it was hard. It was such... That particular place was the most difficult.
Well, I just remember the anticipation, knowing, okay, whoever's coming on this day, and waiting, and then we would do our best, and then I'm like, all right, what next? Because Sandra Grace is like, the people that supposedly could fix it without question were always like 1 to 3 months out.
Right.
Every time. And, when I talked to that lady from Madagascar, so while you guys were gone, I was constantly on the phone calling and sounding crazy. I'm like, this may sound a little crazy, but I got a super haunted house. Can you help me? And, she said she could fix it. And I offered her, I said, I will buy your plane ticket from New York City and give you $10,000 for the day. And she wouldn't come. Because she's like, I can fix it. It's no big deal. And I don't know if she could or not, but, I was that desperate to try to get it done, and nobody would show up. And then we would talk, I talked to some people, and I'd tell them what was going on, and they're like, don't call me ever again. Don't talk to me. You can't bring this to me. You cannot bring this to me. And it was a Buddhist monk was one of them.
See, that's just crazy.
Yeah, they knew what it was, and they were so scared of it. They're like, don't you bring this to me. Don't call me ever again. But what do you do? I mean, it's just crazy. And
Well, I do remember at one point during the whole scenario, I don't think I ever said it to your face.
what, that I'm shockingly good looking?
Oh,
No.
We all know that.
Not that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, have you seen my husband? No. But I do remember at one point leaving there frustrated. I was angry. I was angry at that house. And I looked at Linda and I'm like, I don't know what else to do, but he needs to stop looking at those damn security cameras.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep. Hey, I was looking at those cameras all the time, man. It was a little maddening.
And it was driving you more insane.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Yep.
Yep. I when you would call, You'll never believe what I saw in the sky. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Stop with the security cameras.
Well, it was giving it, the fear I had was feeding it.
Yep, that's right.
And, after we did that ceremony on the dock, they said they left somebody behind to make sure I didn't manipulate the people that left. And I don't know if you ever seen the picture, but I had a picture that I could take through the security camera of this African man's face, and it was like a 6 or 7 foot tall face in the tree line, and with him just his mouth wide open, just screaming at the top of his lungs. It was a lot. It wasn't fun.
No.
All right, so we're gonna go back. So we have a recording that you guys made, and that was the day that we were putting salt around the property. So what was the salt supposed to do?
The salt is supposed to help cleanse and keep the evil out.
So why do you think it didn't work?
Because they were already in.
Yeah. And that's the day that Archangel Michael walked through us, right?
Yeah,
That was cool, wasn't it?
that was. I remember that Kathleen was doing something, and we walked over to the side yard, and we were standing arm in arm, and I asked Archangel Michael and his warriors to come and clear the property. And we're standing there, and we're looking. It's like, Wes, just vision it. Vision him arm in arm with his warriors coming across the yard. And I'll never forget when he hit us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both stepped back at the same time. I think my exact words were, "What the fuck was that?" I mean, that's all I ever said back then was, "What the fuck is that?"
And I thought it was awesome. It's like, I knew he had gifts.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome, and I'm like, "What the fuck was that?" And it was funny because all my neighbors are like, "Oh, this is foo-foo. This isn't real." But you didn't see nobody outside, did you?
But see, I think this is one of the first times that you felt what we do.
Yes, it was. It was the very first time, I believe.
I mean, you were dealing with all your issues and everything, and here's these two crazy ladies over here doing this stuff. And,
Yeah.
And then you actually got to participate and feel the energy we feel.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to see some of the things you guys were doing, like when the little boy was in the attic and all of a sudden the attic wasn't as dark and you could see the studs on the wall where you couldn't see them 6 seconds before or a second before. And then when Sandra Grace would clear the house, the lights in the house would brighten by 30% instantly. And then, he walked through us, and then the time where you cleared whatever was on Kennedy off, and the dog, you can see the dog looking at something, tracking it as it goes out the door. You can't make that stuff up.
Nope, you can't.
No. So I got this recording that we're going to play for you guys, and what you're going to hear is, it's not, like listening to the TV, but so the audience, you're going to hear some footsteps and a little bit of talking. And then you're going to hear something say, what do they say?
This is our house.
They say it 3 times, right?
They
3
do.
times.
Multiple voices.
We're going to play this for you, and hopefully it comes through clearly. So you could clearly hear something say, "This is our house," or at least seemed clearly to me. So I'm going to play it again. This is our house. So that was after we were in the front yard and I was saying, "This is my house," right?
Right.
For some reason I thought we had a recording that said there was legions. But whatever it was, there was a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And I could not convince them to pay me $1 a month per person for rent.
That's a shame. You'd have made a lot of money.
I'd add some money. Well, some of the pictures of the demons that I have, and you would see this outline of something with these jagged teeth, and if you blew up the picture on your cell phone, you would see all these distorted faces inside of them. It's like they absorbed these souls, and that's what they lived off of. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there was at least 5 portals going in the house, because you can see it on the security camera that you guys loved when I watched it. And you know, you would look at the security camera and like one whole 6-8 foot section of the wall where there's a window or a door and there's a picture frame on the wall is blurred. You couldn't see it, but then you get right past that and you can see the lines and stuff of, you know, of the window or whatever's next to it. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Well, see, with you watching your cameras, our thing was that you were torturing yourself more. And you were already a tortured soul.
Yeah. Well,
like,
I didn't have cable.
You didn't have cable.
Yeah.
Well, home movies are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like creepy stories
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just couldn't help it. I couldn't sleep at night, and I'm looking, and I'm like, what is that? Holy shit, what is that? You know? And Mark had texted me. He wanted to know, one night when I left the house and I got to the camper and I left the master bedroom light on, and I looked back and there's this, I was just at that window 30, 40 seconds before that, and there was this demon there that was every bit of 7 foot tall. And Mark wanted to know what it looked like, and you could see the horns, you could see the outline of its face and its eyes, and his mouth was closed, and just this anger. You know, this, I would not want to have to come up and face to face, whatever that was. And it was like a red color, and every bit of it had this red tint to it. Now I'm colorblind, so it looked red to me. And
That makes sense. The fire of hell.
Yeah.
yeah. But I remember looking back, and for a second I'm like, well, I was gonna go back and turn the light off. Then when I looked, I'm like, fuck that. I'm good. And just that it had this, some of the things in the house were just like, I'm here. Then some of them were problem solving, cunning, whatever they were. I mean, they knew what was going on. It was like having a person there that could problem solve and think. And that's what this was. And I just remember the look on its face, and I'm flicking it off, telling it to fuck off, and at the same time I'm like, man, I was scared. You know, I was literally just looking out that window.
Yeah, it's one thing when you're dealing with residual energies.
Mm-hmm.
It's something totally different when you're dealing with something with intelligence and it's non-human.
Yeah.
You see, but whatever it was that was there, for the longest time, I didn't feel evil in that house.
No, it hid itself very well from us
It did.
for several visits.
Yeah, before it actually showed its strength.
Yeah. For me, it was on the dock. And I still to this day, I mean, I can remember, goodness gracious, not even a month ago, Linda and I were listening to one of your casts, and I remember looking at Linda and going, that is the one thing I regret the most, was stepping over that threshold onto that dock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should never have done that.
The thing I regret the most was going back into that room.
Yes, that too.
I did not want to go. I mean, whatever was in there, I did not want to be locked in with.
No.
That was scary. Mm-hmm. So, because I know y'all were standing with me, and the whole time I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. And what she's talking about is when we had pushed that demon into the big walk-in closet and secured it, and Sandra Grace had said that we needed to go in there and open the window and release it out for whatever reason. We still don't understand what that was supposed to be. And But you went in there and it sounded like you were fighting a man.
It was really intense in that room. I mean, that room was so heavy, it's like you're almost gasping for air.
Yep.
And then I couldn't get the stupid window open. It's like, how do I do this?
Yep. I remember when the priest came over, one of the things he did is we pulled down that attic steps. Do you remember the Santa Claus that was up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it scared the hell out of you. The priest looked up, and I thought he was going to have a heart attack right then and there, and it was a mannequin of a Santa Claus.
I remember that.
He looked at me, and his words were, "Jesus Christ." I'm like, sorry. I don't think he said it in a holy way either. But it was interesting. So what do you think about all that, Andrea?
I think it is just terrifying. I'm glad I wasn't there for it. But I'm really fascinated by the recordings, and Linda and Kathleen shared some more with us before we started the episode, and it is just fascinating that I know, Wes, you have pictures that eventually you'll share with everyone when we figure out like what format to do that, but the recordings are just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I went through I found my old camera yesterday, or the day before, and there were some pictures there that I was looking for, and there's one picture of me standing in the RV, and you can clearly see some kind of demonic dog thing next to me with its mouth open. It's creepy. I'll show it to you when we're done.
Cool.
And then we had the picture. I found the picture of the little lady that was washing my dishes. So you can see her clearly. She's cute.
Yeah.
I love that picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, until we were in the house that night, and I was talking about her, and she stopped and she looked at me. Then I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. When she had a knowing like that, I'm like, I don't know how that's possible. So if somebody's going through something like this, you guys can help, right?
We will do our best to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To say we can help,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no 100% guarantee there, but we do our best.
Yeah.
We've had several places that we've gone to help people and get these things out of their house, give them peace.
Yeah. And we've got one guy that we've gone several times. And honestly, until he's willing to let it go, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to let it leave.
Absolutely.
And he's, for some reason, he hangs on to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was willing to let mine go.
And we tried. We tried with.
Yeah, yeah. So the funny thing is, whenever I see the guy that owns the house now, I'm like, "How you sleeping?" He's like, "Oh, I sleep like a baby." I'm like, "Good for him. Good for him." So if you have something like this going on and you would like to connect with Linda and Kathleen, reach out to us through my Instagram, VB Healer. And what's your Instagram, Andrea?
An Abundant Universe.
Yep, you can reach through her. And what's the name of the new book you just had published?
Why Vibrational Mastery, a high vibration is your superpower.
That's right. So if you want to change your life, buy her book.
Wes bought it, and he has not been the same since we read it.
Yeah, I'm not quite right. So, but we've been focusing on raising our vibration, and it's changed things. It's changed a lot of things. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for saving my life.
We love you, Wes.
Love
We
you
do
too.
love you.
Because if you hadn't reached out, Linda, I would not be here. Because you were the catalyst to give me hope. And then you guys came, and then you connected Sandra Grace that gave me hope. And Sandra Grace connected me to Jackie, and she gave me hope. And then she connected me to the medicine woman who gave me hope. And then somewhere in there, I found the priest who gave me hope. And at the end of the story, the medicine woman fixed everything.
God put me where I needed to be.
Yep, saved my life.
And now you're mine forever.
That's right.
Well, that wasn't creepy at all.
I'm in her indentured servant. She makes me come clean the house in my underwear, so but there's that.
I better not say nothing to that one.
We'll keep that on the show. That'd be good. No. But no, it's been, and it was funny because we were talking before we recorded this that, the one thing we listened to is 5 years and 2 weeks ago. So, every year when I get close to 4th of July, it's hard for me.
Well, you've had an amazing journey.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing before we leave.
Yes.
I have to tell you, Wes, I loved you the first moment I saw you. And it has been amazing. And I'm so proud to have been a part of this, to watch you grow to where you are.
Thank you. I love you too.
I mean, you are the most amazing man I've ever met.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love you, and I feel like I've known you all for many, many lifetimes. And thanks for coming on the show. That was cool.
Our pleasure.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, we've got our season finale coming up, right, Andrea?
Yes, and it is a very, very special episode. We're going to go out of season 1 with a real bang, some real surprises. I mean, this was just fabulous. Linda and Kathleen, you are our first guests, and we could not have asked for a more meaningful experience.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Thank you so, so much. And all of you listening, you have got to stay tuned for the season finale, and things are just going to get supercharged from there.
Yeah, and don't forget to hit the follow button. We're on YouTube now, so click the follow button. Yeah.
It's easy to spot.
Yes. So thank you, and we'll see you soon. We appreciate you listening.
You've been listening to Enlightenment Unknown with Wes Coons, your guide on the quest for self-discovery and the version of you we haven't met yet.